Rolling isn't just how people smoke here, it's part of the culture. But where did it all start? Turns out Spain has been making rolling papers for hundreds of years. So we made a stop in this small Spanish town, home of the Museum of Paper, to really understand the deeply rooted history of rolling papers throughout Spain. And who better to walk us through than Josh from Raw, a man who's dedicated his life to rolling papers. It's interesting how this region became known for rolling papers, even though it started with paper, but then it transitioned to producing most of Europe's rolling papers in America.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It is wild.
When the Moors brought paper to this region, this became the paper-making capital of Europe.
Alcoy's paper roots go way back to the 8th century when it became the first city to manufacture mold-made paper. And now, Josh is about to break down how that ancient process laid the foundation for everything we smoke today.
This is an antique paper mill. This is the milling process. The water would power everything. Back there is what we used to call the baton. Bam, 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 bam. Mashing the daylights out of plant material, and it's going to turn it back into cellulose or back into cellulose. From there, it's going to be spread out screens. Picture a screen from a window.
Yeah, or like screen printing for shirts.
And you dip the screen into the pasta, which is this where the plant cellulose is now mixed with a lot of water and it's floating. And you dip in the screen, pull out your screen, then use a press to kind of back and forth like this. And then the screen will be hauled up, the paper's taken off and dried. But there's lots of little steps in between, but that's essentially how it's done. This is the old way. Rolling paper would have been made like this originally, before there was the continuous machine. There's one over here which I'll show you. The continuous machine was the biggest leap forward. To this day, most paper is made on a form of this. But this really changed the game, because instead of people literally pulling up screens full of paper and drying them, now you have one continuous long sheet that gets rolled into a giant bobbin at the end, or a big roll, what we call the mother roll. Some of them are extremely old, some of them are not as old. So this is various ones. Downstairs, we'll get her to pull out the collection. She has some stuff that's a couple hundred years old. Oh, wow. Yeah, we'll ask her to pull it out and show it to you guys real fast. So these are the kind of booklets that predate interleaving. So it would just be a flat booklet, different styles. This is what we were trying to recreate when I did the King Size Supreme.
And they're not pinned in or anything, right? They could all come out, you can pull.
At the time they could. Later on, someone had started putting a way to make it adhere, but for the most part, yeah, they were just loose in here.
How old do you think some of these booklets are?
Some of them are from the 1800s, and some of them from the mid-1900s or early 1900s. It depends on the booklet. Some of those earlier ones we were touching, I think, were from about maybe 1840, some year like that. Gosh, be gentle, be gentle, be gentle. Be gentle, be gentle, be gentle. Oh, see, his Barrett again. This is the people that had the book. Older booklets like this are telling you that it's a much older rolling paper. This is the old style. And this is what we wanted to redo with the King Size Supreme, because nobody makes booklets like that anymore that I see.
What do you think the biggest innovation's been in the rolling paper business?
Within here?
Yeah.
It was interleaving.
Interleaving.
Yeah, we pull out one sheet, the next one comes. That's just the first thing you'll notice. The biggest innovation was making a booklet, right? Which was supposedly from Father Villanueva Estingo. That's the most important thing. Without a booklet, you can't have anything. After the booklet comes interleaving, where you pull out one sheet, the next one comes, just to make it easier for you.
Josh, what would you say is one thing they got right even back then with the beginning of the papers? Was there something they just hit a home run with?
From the beginning?
Yeah.
Size. You'll notice almost everything I'm showing you is 1 1/4, what we call 1 1/4. But this is Spanish size. This is to me, the original size of rolling papers. So no matter, even if it's interleaved, flat, whatever it is, you'll notice all the original ones are all about the same size, 1 1/4. Once in a long while, I bust out something from my collection, like one of those 100-something-year-old sheets, and I smoke it.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, would you still enjoy this?
Yeah, I will. I've learned when they get really old, the gum doesn't stick anymore, but they're still rollable.
Of stuff like this, what do you think influences Raw the most from the traditional?
Well, it's learning the tradition is the most important thing. You can't follow tradition you don't know. Even right now, as I'm sitting here going through these booklets, I'm still learning something. I'm still picking something up. I'm even looking at the way that they had it folded in some of these booklets, thinking if I could do something with that like this on the Supreme. You're constantly learning. Constantly. That's the whole point. That's the point.
That's the point of this.
Yeah.
We came to Spain to uncover the cannabis culture in the underground. We ended up discovering the roots of rolling culture itself. And now it's time to see how Spain's still leading the game, and no one does it bigger than Raw.